Hi, I'm Demaris Stamler, and I am a transformation coach and consultant, and the owner and operator and proud mama of Awakened Dreams Coaching and Consulting. So I wanted to talk with you today about how your vision and dream can be helped to actually bring to fruition through the work of the Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. So I wanted to talk about the importance of that. How do those two fit together? Why would I bring those two together? So let's assume you have created a dream for your life, a vision for the next few years, 2 to 3 years, that you have in mind where you want to be, what you want to be doing, the kind of relationship you want to be in and having with your family and friends, and those sorts of things. So having that dream and vision is a really important step. So let's just assume you have that. One of the reasons I really like the tools in the Four Agreements is that they really set a foundation. They're like the foundation of the house from which you can build, start putting up walls and actually creating a final home for your vision and dream, setting the foundation to really be able to move forward toward your dream. Because the Four Agreements teaches us about certain behaviors on a day-to-day basis that we have that can be thwarting us from ever making much traction towards our vision and dream. So let's go with the idea that you have a vision and a dream. In the beginning of the book, The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, I imagine, how many of you out there have read this book before? I would guarantee that if I could see you right now, 90% of you have read the book, or at very least heard of it. And well done. I had heard about it for years, and people had told me about it for years as well. But there's a big difference between reading it and actually living from it. There's some amazing principles in this that you want to actually know about. So I want to start actually with what I'll talk about today is actually before we even get to the first agreement. And that's in the beginning of the book, Don Miguel Ruiz talks about how we got where we are at this point in history, in our dynamics and how we communicate and how we operate on a day-to-day basis. And so he talks about three particular concepts. One is that we've been domesticated. Now, when I read that word, I thought, I don't like that. I am not a dog or a cat. I have not been domesticated. However, he's using it in terms of like we've been programmed. We've been trained in certain behaviors. We've been trained in certain beliefs. We've been trained in what we believe we're capable of or not capable of. We've been trained in how much we deserve to have. What's our limit of how much love we can actually have, which seems silly, but we all have. We have an upper limit, as Dr. Gay Hendricks would talk about. We have an upper limit of how much love we'll allow in our lives. We have an upper limit on how much success we'll allow in our lives. And so this is what we're talking about this programming that we have. And it's not from our parents specifically. Yes, they're a driver in it, but they were domesticated too and programmed, and your grandparents and their parents before them. This is decades and eons of programming. So there's no one to blame for it. And there's no use in blaming anyone for it anyway. What's most important is to start to realize it's true. I have some programming that it's operating back here. I'm not even aware of it most of the time. And I imagine you are the same. Maybe you've come to terms with some of it. Maybe you become more and more aware of some of these patterns that aren't working for you. So an awareness around our domestication, that we do have programming that can be getting in the way of us actually making traction towards the vision and dream that we want, that we're working towards, that we deserve. The second concept that he talks about in the beginning of the book is this idea that we all have a smoky mirror. And the smoky mirror is how we see ourselves and how we allow other people to see us. And the smokiness is, I don't want you to see too much of who I am because you might not like who I am. I don't want to see too much of who I am because there are parts of me that maybe I'm not happy about. So we have a smoky mirror that gets in the way. And we literally have to think of it in terms of, I need to clean up that smoky mirror. I need to allow myself to see who I am and where I need some growth. So be aware that you have a smoky mirror and that you can clean it off. It takes awareness, it takes a willingness to look, a willingness to do that. And the third concept that's in this beginning part of the book is this idea that we all also have a book of law. We all have a book of law. We have our own book in our head, in our system, that are the laws that we live by, the rules that we live by, the concepts, the principles, the beliefs that we live by. And these are also back here, meaning they're not in your conscious thinking. It's simply what you operate from. And similarly to what I was talking about before, a book of law, one of the laws that's in your book might be, that I've never been very successful, but with relationships, so I'm probably, I should probably just give that up. I'm just not good at that. Or I don't have the education to become whatever it is I have in mind that I would love to do. That's part of a law that we've created for ourselves. Other laws are about how we feel about money. One of mine in the past has been money doesn't grow on trees. I was handed that down from different family members. Money doesn't grow on trees, and that really mystified me as a kid. I was like, "Why? That would have been cool," but I actually never thought that. But once I realized what they were trying to tell me is that there's a limit to how much money there is. So, and that drove a lot of my decisions to where even when I was prosperous in my life, I still had a mindset of, oh, I got to pinch pennies, and no, I can't buy the really quality version of that because that would be extravagant. When I could, and it was a good idea, but I had old programming about what I was allowed to spend. So we have, and it comes across in lots of areas of our life. So we have, another one is, what will the neighbors think? If one of us misbehaved, or, the parents were talking about getting a nicer car or some kind of, extravagant thing. Well, what would the neighbors think? And that's such an interesting thing because I always thought I didn't know they were paying attention. I didn't know they were watching me. When in reality, the neighbors probably aren't even watching. They probably don't even care. And if they do, why does that matter to me? Why does that matter? So we have laws and rules and principles that we live from, and we want to actually investigate them. When we notice that coming up, oh, is that helpful to me? Is that going to help me move forward in my life? Do I need that? Or do I want to rewrite that law? We get to rewrite our law. It's our book. But you have to notice it first. So yeah, we've been programmed. We have a smoky mirror, and we have a book of law. Things to notice, because these all, if they are not operating in our favor, are going to stop us from actually creating a life that we would love to be living. So if you're interested in exploring this a little bit more, and I am going to talk more about these things over the coming weeks, so you'll hear more about each agreement over the coming weeks. But if you're interested in exploring this in a small group that I'm running and teaching and facilitating how to actually live from these agreements. I have a class coming up, a 6-week class that starts March 23rd. And I'd love to see you in there. There's only so much space, so if this is calling you, go ahead and reach out to me. So you can email me at soulwellnessprograms@gmail.com or at my personal email, demara@awakeneddreamscoaching.com. All right, so be well, keep dreaming, and notice those programmings. Notice the smoky mirror, and notice those laws that you're living by that maybe don't serve you anymore. In the meantime, I will see you soon, and have an amazing day. Bye for now.